Iacocca, Baime, Go Like Hell, Ford, Ferrari, and their battle for speed and glory at Le Mans. Get ready to be whisked away into the high-stakes world of international car racing with the thrilling story of Go Like Hell, Ford, Ferrari, and their battle for speed and glory at Le Mans, written by Iacocca, Baime. This intense rivalry between established European Ferrari and underdog American Ford captures the spirit of innovation and determination, as two automotive titans duke it out on the racetrack. As you journey through this gripping tale, you will come face to face with passionate figures like Enzo Ferrari, Henry Ford II, and Carroll Shelby, and witness the industries of car design and racing revolutionized by their struggle for victory. Discover the shifting tides of fortune, shocking tragedies, and last-minute triumphs that await within this fascinating showdown.
Rise of Ford's Corvette killer. In 1945, Henry Ford II inherited a struggling Ford Motor Company from his grandfather, the original Henry Ford, who had resisted modernizing the brand and mismanaged the business. Determined to regain market dominance over Chevrolet, especially their popular Corvette model, Henry Ford II capitalized on the post-World War II car craze and new interstate highways by focusing on making powerful, high-performance vehicles that attracted a new generation of car enthusiasts. When Henry Ford II took the reins of the Ford Motor Company in 1945, he faced a daunting challenge. His predecessors, his father, Enzo Ford, and grandfather, original Henry Ford, had left the company in disarray. While Chevrolet was becoming America's preferred automaker, the elder Henry Ford had stubbornly refused to modernize and even appointed a former convict as an executive manager. By the time Henry Ford II took over, the company was losing money. Determined to revitalize Ford, Henry Ford II set out to grant his father's unfulfilled wish, modernize the company and outshine Chevrolet. As post-World War II America entered a car craze, the timing couldn't have been better. New interstate highways, built in the 1950s, crisscrossed the country, enabling nationwide driving adventures. Returning World War II veterans, now skilled mechanics and speed enthusiasts, flocked to high-performance cars with powerful engines. Teenagers, too, began to embrace the thrill of car races. Chevrolet's Corvette gained popularity by winning numerous competitions, capturing audience attention and affection. Recognizing the opportunity, Henry Ford II vowed to create a vehicle that would outperform Chevrolet's Corvette. He set his sights on harnessing this new enthusiasm for fast, powerful cars, plotting Ford's resurgence as an industry leader in both speed and innovation. Ferrari's rise and racing dangers. Enzo Ferrari, founder of the iconic racing brand, was captivated by fast cars since he was 11 years old. He began creating cutting-edge race cars by incorporating mechanical innovations that emerged after World War I. Initially working for Alfa Romeo, Ferrari built his own factory in Modena, Italy, handcrafting top-performing racing machines. These vehicles saw numerous victories, particularly in the 1940s and 50s in the European races. Despite this success, the dangerous nature of European racing led to several fatalities, raising concerns about safety. However, racing remained a thrilling and controversial sport. In the late 1950s, while Corvette remained the leading American racing car, Ferrari dominated European racing. Born from its founder Enzo Ferrari's childhood passion for fast cars, the brand's vision was centered around racing. Utilizing post-World War I mechanical innovations, Ferrari began crafting cutting-edge race cars in a small factory in his hometown, Modena, Italy. Ferrari won his first race as a mechanic and driver for Alfa Romeo in 1923 before starting his own venture. By the late 1940s, Ferraris were seen as strong and agile, racking up multiple Grand Prix titles. Nevertheless, European racing had a dark side, with a rising number of fatalities. These races often took place on the same narrow, twisty roads used by the public, testing both cars' and drivers' endurance to the limit. Ferrari's racing reputation took a severe hit when, on May 12, 1957, a Ferrari 335 experienced a tire blowout during the Mille Miglia race, resulting in a crash that killed 12 spectators and injured many more. The following year, 2 drivers lost their lives while racing Ferrari Dino cars during the French and German Grand Prix. Despite an investigation into the Mille Miglia accident, Enzo Ferrari was cleared of any responsibility, as his cars were meticulously constructed. The inherent dangers of racing were well known to drivers and spectators, and paradoxically, the potential for tragedy only made the sport more enthralling and controversial. This duality became a prominent aspect of Ferrari's legacy in European racing. Racing revives American automotive giants. In the 1950s, the American government, concerned with safety, tried to keep car manufacturers away from the risky business of racing with the safety resolution. Ford and Chevrolet, among other major automobile companies, agreed not to participate in racing competitions. However, the popularity of car races and the potential for boosting sales led companies to find discreet ways to support racing teams. Ford eventually withdrew from the resolution in 1962, embracing the appeal of high-performance sports cars, which resulted in a successful ad campaign and multiple victories in racing competitions such as the Daytona 500. Ford's partnership with Carroll Shelby, a former race car driver, and the creation of the iconic, powered by Ford, Cobra bolstered their position further and caught the attention of top executives like Lee Iacocca. Despite the U.S. government's attempt to separate the automobile industry in racing with the 1957 safety resolution, car manufacturers were intrigued by the excitement of car races and the potential boost in sales by winning on the track. Vehicle manufacturers, notably Chevrolet with its winning Corvette, discreetly funded and supplied race teams. Unable to resist the allure of racing and its marketing prowess, Ford publicly stepped back from the resolution in 1962. They launched an influential ad campaign showcasing their total performance. At the Daytona 500 the following year, Ford had 14 cars participating, with the Galaxy 500 taking the spotlight, thanks to its powerful 427 cubic inch V8 engine. The ensuing victory led to newspaper ads celebrating the performance of their cars. Meanwhile, Carroll Shelby, a former race car driver, caught Ford's attention by designing the highly successful, powered by Ford, Cobra. This vehicle went on to defeat rivals such as the Chevrolet Corvette Stingray on multiple occasions. This partnership piqued the interest of Ford's VP Lee Iacocca, leading to a visit to Shelby's Southern California garage, ready to explore a shared future in the world of racing and automotive sales. Ferrari's fall, Ford's ascent. In the early 1960s, Ferrari was dominating the European racing scene, claiming 3 out of 4 victories in the prestigious Le Mans races. Despite this success, tragedy struck during the 1961 Italian Grand Prix when Count Wolfgang von Tripp's car careened into a crowd of spectators, resulting in 15 deaths. Around the same time, internal turmoil led to the departure of 8 high-ranking Ferrari personnel, opening the door for potential buyers. Attracted by the prospect of acquiring a controlling share, Henry Ford II, aka the Deuce, began negotiations with Enzo Ferrari. By 1963, it appeared the two parties had reached an agreement, granting Ford majority control of Ferrari's commercial sales while retaining Enzo's authority over the racing division. However, at the 11th hour, Ferrari backed out of the deal for undisclosed reasons. Speculation arose that Ferrari had used Ford to strengthen negotiations with another buyer, Italian automotive giant, Fiat. Public opinion rallied around the notion of an Italian company keeping the beloved brand within the nation, rejecting American ownership. Ultimately, the deal-breaker seemed to center around Ford's desire to have the final say on Ferrari's racing decisions, which Enzo was unwilling to relinquish. Feeling used and outmaneuvered, the Deuce became determined to exact revenge on Ferrari by defeating them on their home turf, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, a race that had long been dominated by the Italian team. This fueled rivalry would lead to a high-stakes showdown, forever changing the landscape of racing history. Rivals on European racetracks. The Ford-Ferrari rivalry illustrates a classic David and Goliath story, with each company alternatively taking on the role of the underdog. Ferrari dominated European racing, but in contrast to Ford, lacked significant financial resources. On the other hand, Ford, considered an underdog in European racing, had a seemingly endless budget. The American giant took the competition seriously and assembled a team led by John Wyer, a figure who previously achieved victory at Le Mans in 1959. However, Ford faced challenges with their first Le Mans contender, the GT40, which failed due to critical transmission issues. This disappointing outcome served as a crucial learning experience for Ford, motivating them to improve their cars and continue the rivalry. The Ford-Ferrari rivalry can be viewed as a fluctuating power dynamic. While Ferrari unquestionably dominated European racing, their financial resources paled in comparison to Ford's substantial budget. Despite being an underdog on European racetracks, Ford was determined to win and generously funded the development of their Le Mans team. This unwavering dedication led to assembling a talented team, headed by John Wyer. Although Wyer had previously tasted success at the 1959 Sierra Leonean Le Mans with Aston Martin, the beginning of the 1964 racing season proved challenging for Ford. The GT40, their first attempt at a winning race car, featured a powerful engine and components sourced from around the world. However, the GT40 encountered difficulties in the dynamic conditions of the Le Mans race, particularly regarding its brakes and headlights. An important race milestone, the 24-hour endurance test, proved especially challenging for the GT40. Both cars that Ford entered in 1964 suffered from critical transmission failure within 5 hours, resulting in a failed race. The Ford team recognized the root cause as an inadequate testing period, acknowledging this setback as a significant learning experience, which ultimately fueled their pursuit of triumph in the Ford-Ferrari rivalry. Gearing up for 65 Le Mans. After Ford's partial success in the 1964 Sierra Leonean Le Mans, Carroll Shelby was hired to improve the GT40 for the 1965 race. Together with his chief mechanic and test driver, Ken Miles, Shelby upgraded the car's aerodynamics, air ducting, wheels, and brakes, resulting in a lighter, more powerful vehicle. Miles and his partner, Lloyd Ruby, achieved a significant win at the 24 Hours of Daytona endurance race, and the newly developed GT40 Mk2 was ready for the 1965 Sierra Leonean Le Mans. Despite Ferrari's continued dominance, Ford's improved vehicle showed promise with new engine power and better handling. When Ford tapped Carroll Shelby to improve the GT40 for the 1965 Sierra Leonean Le Mans, they could not have found a better choice. Ken Miles, one of Shelby's chief mechanics and test drivers, subjected the car to extensive testing, including at a Ford-owned aerospace facility. The team successfully enhanced the GT40 with better aerodynamics, sealed off poor air ducting, and new magnesium wheels with larger front brakes. These modifications resulted in a weight reduction of 30 pounds and a horsepower increase of 76. Racing enthusiasts were thrilled when Miles and his partner, Lloyd Ruby, snagged a victory with the revamped GT40 during February 1965's 24 Hours of Daytona endurance race. This marked the team's first major win, signaling a potential turn of events in their favor. However, Ferrari's dominance persisted with their new 330 P2, which set lap records during the 65 Le Mans test week. Undeterred, the Ford team prepared the GT40 Mk2, featuring a new 427 cubic inch V8 engine that raised the horsepower to around 500. Despite concerns over the speed advantage and potential durability issues, the team remained hopeful. Entering the 65 Le Mans race with renewed confidence, Ford's roaring start stunned onlookers with early leads. Drivers Chris Amon and Bruce McLaren even pulled ahead of Ferrari by 50 seconds. Nonetheless, the team faced adversity as smoke started billowing from one of their Mk2 vehicles during the third hour of the race. Pursuit of racing glory. As Ford's GT40 Mk2 faced imminent breakdowns due to faulty head gaskets and extreme overheating, the pressure was on them to win the following year. Despite disappointments at Le Mans, Carroll Shelby was given one more shot. Enzo Ferrari, angered by losing, responded with the lighter, more powerful 330 P3. Ford went all in with extensive testing of their revamped engine. Early victories in Daytona and Sebring fueled their hopes of capturing the elusive Le Mans prize in 1966. Ford's GT40 Mk2 faced the dire consequences of faulty head gaskets causing engine overheating at an alarming 266 degrees Fahrenheit. As the smoke billowed from the car's engine, drivers and fans alike knew it wouldn't last much longer. Determined to make a mark before the car's failure, driver Phil Hill set a new track record with an average lap speed of 138.44 miles per hour at Le Mans. Despite the impressive lap performance, disappointment loomed as none of Ford's cars crossed the finish line that year. Owned by Mario Cinetti, an American team won the race, driving none other than old Ferraris. As a result, Ford's project spearheaded by Carroll Shelby came under intense scrutiny, with one final chance given to win Le Mans. Not taking the loss lightly, Enzo Ferrari designed the 330 P3, a car 40 kilograms lighter and 110 horsepower more powerful than its predecessor. The competition had just heated up for the upcoming Le Mans race. To ensure success, Ford took the preparatory process to new heights, creating a state-of-the-art computer-assisted testing bed for their revamped engine. Simulating a complete Le Mans race, the engine and transmission were put through rigorous tests, sometimes for 42 hours straight. Shelby's team left no stone unturned, giving every aspect of the Mk2 their microscopic attention. The hard work soon paid off, as Ford won the 24 Hours of Daytona with Ken Miles at the helm. Ford even secured second place, and Miles went on to win the 12 Hours of Sebring as well. With his stellar performance, he inched closer to an endurance racing Triple Crown. Only Le Mans' victory separated him from this prestigious achievement. As the 1966 season progressed, anticipation for Le Mans boiled over. Ford's GT40 Mk2 was the culmination of countless hours, untold millions, and a team's tireless persistence to eventually claim racing glory, a driving dream now closer than ever before. Le Mans 1966, controversial finish. The 1966 racing rivalry between Ford and Ferrari at the 24 Hours of Le Mans culminated in a nearly tied finish, with Ford dominating the race. However, drama unfolded upon the finish line as Ford bosses decided to have their three leading cars cross the finish line simultaneously to create a picturesque PR moment. Despite Ken Miles' objection, he conceded and participated in the staged finish, only to discover that the officials did not acknowledge ties. The win ultimately went to the team of Bruce McLaren and Chris Amon for covering a slightly longer distance. The Ford vs. Ferrari competition sparked the public's interest in racing in the 1960s, reaching its climax with the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1966, where Henry Ford II was the official Grand Marshal. Ford began the contest with a directive to his teams: "You better win, HF2." Initially, things seemed uncertain as Ken Miles, a Ford driver, hit his head on the car door jamb while getting into the vehicle, causing an early pit stop to fix the resulting dent. Despite this setback, Miles went on to set a new lap record, averaging 142.01 miles per hour. It soon became apparent that Ford's teams were dominant, particularly Ken Miles and Dennis Hume, along with Bruce McLaren and Chris Amon. By daybreak, Ford seemed to have secured victory. As the race neared its end, controversy arose. Ford executives suggested that the company's top three cars finish simultaneously, creating a photo finish opportunity and a potential tie between the Miles/Hume and McLaren/Amon pairings. Despite Ken Miles' initial objections, he agreed to this decision and slowed down his winning pace to allow McLaren to catch up. As the three automobiles crossed the finish line together, a shocking revelation unfolded: Le Mans officials did not recognize ties. While Miles had technically entered his car slightly ahead of Bruce McLaren and Chris Amon's vehicle, officials determined that the latter team covered a slightly longer distance during the race, thereby awarding them first place. The conclusion of the 1966 Sierra Leonean Leones Mans race remains one of the most dramatic and controversial in racing history. The public's passion for racing and the fierce rivalry between Ford and Ferrari unknowingly set the stage for a surprising twist in the final moments of this iconic endurance race. An unforgettable racing legend. Ken Miles, though not awarded the Le Mans trophy, played a crucial role in Ford's racing success, leaving a lasting legacy. Ford ultimately defeated Ferrari multiple times, but soon faced new rivals from Japan. Ken Miles' monumental impact on the world of racing is undeniable, but the coveted trophy for winning Daytona, Sebring, and Le Mans in a single year eluded him. Carroll Shelby, who believed Miles should have received the recognition, relayed his lingering regrets for agreeing to the photo finish. As if the unfair ending to Miles' racing triumph wasn't somber enough, tragedy struck when Miles was testing Ford's next Le Mans car, the J car, in the California desert. Going from 180 to 100 miles per hour, suddenly the car screeched, rolled off the road, and ignited into an inferno. Witnesses, including Miles' own son, found him far from the wreckage and deduced his immediate demise. The cause remains a mystery, with only burning rubble left behind. Miles' death sent shockwaves through the racing community. He was a phenomenal teammate, skilled mechanic, and arguably Ford's best driver. It's worth noting that before joining Shelby's team in 1963, he had been relatively unknown. His life's work dedicated to cars only gained attention in his mid-40s with his first major contract, and soon he began winning significant racing events. To honor his unique skills and contributions, Shelby initiated a scholarship in Miles' name for underprivileged students pursuing careers in automotive mechanics. Despite the bittersweet victories, Ford's battle against Ferrari didn't end with the defeat at Le Mans. Henry Ford II understood the need to remain vigilant. By the late 1960s, it was evident that Ford's new competition would emerge from Japan's burgeoning auto industry. Ferrari enjoyed a small victory by winning the 1967 24 Hours of Daytona, sweeping the top 3 spots, but they'd never again claim the prestigious Le Mans title. In 1969, Enzo Ferrari sold half of his company to Fiat. Ford, on the other hand, reveled in their repeat win at Le Mans in 1967. This time, the victory was even more gratifying, as it was achieved by 2 American-born drivers. Just 2 days later, Ford launched Ford of Europe Incorporated, a clear indication that their mission of establishing themselves as European giants had been accomplished. The chapter closes with the legacy of Ken Miles standing strong. His unprecedented talent and contributions are forever linked to the history of Ford's racing triumphs.
In the high-stakes race between Ford and Ferrari, Go Like Hell, Ford, Ferrari, and their battle for speed and glory at Le Mans chronicles the intense rivalry that fueled the pursuit of engineering excellence and indomitable spirit. Through a relentless commitment to innovation and fearless determination, both companies built racing machines capable of astonishing feats. However, Ford's eventual triumph at Le Mans reflected not only the company's considerable budget but also an unquenchable thirst for greatness. I.J. Baime's gripping account reminds us that the extraordinary efforts and sacrifices of passionate individuals, like Henry Ford II, Enzo Ferrari, Carroll Shelby, and Ken Miles, continue to shape the world of automotive racing. Their contributions live on, inspiring future generations to push the boundaries of performance and innovation in the pursuit of glory.